Okay. Getting all the business taken care of. So here's our agenda for today, folks. So as we're going through it, first thing, my promise I always make, I am not the one that will read a PowerPoint to you. You guys did not tune in to hear me narrate some kind of webinar. So we'll get through my portion as quickly as possible and get to Christy, the exciting stuff. But we are going to talk about Pro MRO and the benefits of Pro MRO. But we're going to start off with clients first. Why are we qualified to talk to you about this? Other than the fact that we wrote the software, Clients First is a value-added reseller of ERP solutions. We work with two different ERP solutions from Microsoft as well as Acumatica, and Pro MRO is built to work with all of those solutions. Our expertise or our vertical has always been in manufacturing and job shops, so we work with MROs and have well over 20 years of experience working with companies like that and getting them set all fixed up with software. We also, a part of that's always distribution. We're very comfortable with those portions of your ERP solutions as well as accounting. We spend a lot of time with project accounting, costing, which are very critical to ERP. Acumatica, Clients First Business Solutions. We've been around for 23 years now. We're well over 100 employees. We have offices across the United States, and we have a large group, a large team of consultants waiting to help both on the Microsoft side as well as Acumatica. We have strong relationships throughout the ERP community. You can look back, Bob Scott's independent evaluator of resellers or VARs. We've been in the top 100 as far as back as I know, but we've worked with a gold certified partner with Acumatica as well as Microsoft. And congratulations to us. We did make President's Cup with Acumatica this year. And you see right in the middle, Pro MRO, that's our own IP. We wrote it. And we do a lot of work with building out solutions as well as integrations and work with PaceJet on that as well. So the value of, whoops, I went one too fast, I'm sorry. The value of, in my opinion, and what I think everybody's trying to achieve as we go forward is having one solution for everything. We want to be connected throughout your whole business and have everything report directly to save time, to eliminate errors, to preserve the data. And as we move forward, ideally we want to get rid of disparate systems. We want everything within one house. And I'm going to make this interactive today. I have a poll for you. If you guys don't mind taking 15 seconds, just real quickly, I want to find out how many systems that you folks are using internally with your company. Should be popping up right there. If you don't mind, just give us a quick answer. Boy, what a great group. You guys are quick on the answers, quick draws. So as I mentioned, as we input data into our systems, ideally, we only do it once throughout the day. So we don't want to be multiple inputs of data. We don't want several people having to do that or print out systems, then re-enter. So you can see that Acumatica, well, actually today, the Pro MRO solution is built that you'll see today on Acumatica. And so as we data or put in data, you will see how it impacts every portion, every module of your system. Okay, let's see. So Acumatica, the one we'll see today, as I said, the beauty is this is we can access it from anywhere or access it from anywhere. Excuse me, I don't know what I'm trying to sound like, but any device that can reach the internet can reach Acumatica. So it'll follow you throughout the day if you're on a desktop or a pad or on your phone. You can always be doing approvals. You can see your customer status, anything that they need. And with regards to working on the shop floor with Pro MRO, we have devices that will connect. Any device will connect as long as it gets the internet. And it is browser agnostic. So why choose Acumatica and Pro MRO or Pro MRO for any solution? It's one integrated solution. So if anything that's outside of an ERP requirement, anything typically like sales tax, you may use Avalara. The integrations are seamless and you can see them inside and out. So once again, we just want to give you one destination to go to manage your whole business. And you can see all of the different portions, the different modules that are available throughout Acumatica. So as I allow you to peruse through this, I'm going to give Christy a chance to switch over and start presenting. Christy, do you want to take over the screen?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, please let me know if you cannot see my screen.
I'm going to let you know I can see your screen, Christy. Great job.
Thank you. Let me move that little bar out of the way because I see it on my side. Okay, so before we begin, I would like to point out that Pro MRO is designed to assist MRO companies with creating quotes and work orders to track all the costs associated with streamlining those processes and creating real-time connections from the shop floor to accounting. So there are a few building blocks that make up Pro MRO that we're going to go over today. And items like customer equipment, service profiles and packages, along with tool register and the shop floor app. However, to start, I would like to quickly go over the MRO engineering dashboard that you see here. Now, this dashboard is designed to look across multiple departments, providing you with one quick and easy platform to begin your day with real-time information. So as you can see, we have some tiles here that are based upon an aircraft company who does perform maintenance on an aircraft for A&C checks, as well as engines. Sorry about that. So as you can see here, we have items like C-check and engine estimates that are pending. You have inspections that may be due within 60 days, and you even have items for return to service, either early or late. And within each one of these sections, you can drill in to make quick decisions right here from this one screen. So as an example, I'm just going to quickly go through this. I'm going to click on the engine estimate that's pending, and that's going to populate another tab for you right here so that you can make a quick decision. Now, there are two ways of handling this. So you can see that one item that was showing that was pending as an estimate, you can see the shop estimate number here, you can see the status, and you have the work order quote that it's tied to. In order to get more information to drill in to go ahead and make a decision on what you want to do next as far as that estimate goes, you can click on the work order here as a hyperlink, and it's going to take you directly to the work order quote. Or you can make use of our side panels here, which is a new feature in Acumatica. So when I click on the shop estimate from here, it's going to take me to that estimate number right here, and it's going to see, you can kind of see why that status is on hold, because the hold is checked. So if you scroll down, it's going to give you some information, and you can see that this service estimate or the service profiles or any kind of shop estimate hasn't been completed, which would indicate why it's in a pending status. So as I mentioned, this is just a quick and easy way that you can go from your dashboard and make quick decisions to go ahead and move those items along within your processes. So now I'm going to go ahead and start moving on to the building blocks. And the first one that I want to discuss will be our customer equipment. So navigating over to the Pro MRO module, customer equipment is located under profiles. So by clicking on that, that's going to go ahead and take me to the customer equipment. And from here, this kind of just showed up the last one that I was working on to go and prepare some data for our show today. So you can use your search button here, and this will bring up a grid so you can see all of those customer equipments that have already been created in your system. But just to go ahead and explain quickly, in Acumatica, with most screens that you're going to see today, you have a header section here, and then you have a detail section here on the bottom. So for the customer equipment, as an aircraft or an engine, or if you happen to be a component shop that works on components from an aircraft, this would be your equipment number or the aircraft ID or TEL number. You have other options to populate as far as the manufacturer, model. You can create a serial number. And you can even tie this to a business account, which would be that customer specific information. Or you can leave it extremely generic and you can just have your equipment or your aircraft ID and you can leave this blank. It's not necessary, it's not mandatory, but this just gives you an extra level of categorization that you can report on. So each field and in each field in Acumatica that you see, you do have the option to make reports based on that information or that data. So moving to the details, you can see that work order tab will provide all the work order history. If you have ever seen this equipment or this aircraft ID, all your work order history is going to populate here on the bottom. And with that hyperlink, again, as I mentioned earlier, you can click into here and it will take you directly to that work order if you wanted to look at even more details about what was done under that work order. The aviation tab. Now, the aviation tab gives you a lot more information that you can make very specific to this aircraft ID. You can add in some certificate dates and expiration. You can provide some airworthiness information if your business tracks that. Aircraft and ownership, you can populate each one of these if that is something that you would like to track within your business. Additional information, and you can even track certain inspections that are due on that high-level aircraft. Moving to the attributes, this tab again just gives you that extra layer of classification that would be specific for your aircraft ID. You can have as many or as few as you like. This is just a quick example about how that would look if you wanted to go ahead and make those required. So that's a little bit about customer equipment, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second building block, and that is what we call service profiles. So service profiles and service profile packages will also be called maybe a task card or operation steps on what you have within your work order package or your work scope. However, the terminology is for your business. So on the profiles, again, in the Pro MRO module, service profiles and packages are listed under profiles. So pulling up this screen, you can see that we have a grid. You can edit any one of these, or you can simply just create a new one by clicking the plus sign. So for today's webinar, I'm going to go ahead and just click into one that I've already created, and I'm going to click a standard repair service profile. So when I say service profile or task card, I'm going to use those words interchangeable, and it'll kind of make sense a little bit down the line here. So within your service profile, you have your task card or service profile ID. You would provide this a description. You can make this for ATA chapter specific. By having the active button just means that you're making this profile active so that it can be used and populated on your quotes or your work orders. The optional tab simply means that this particular profile is just an optional, which usually means that it's not always done, but it's an option for your customer to go ahead and take advantage of that while this certain work is being done. So you can make this particular step or profile optional for your customer. Populating the details from here, you can make it customer specific. You can create the manufacturer and the model, and you can even provide certain maintenance tasks if that is required. So by checking those will populate and transfer over to your work order into your work order quote. Now, as I mentioned, these are the details on the top, or the header on the top, and the details are listed on the bottom. So within this service profile, you can define your revenue budget, you can define your cost budget, you can provide work instructions, and even quote language. So on the revenue budget, this simply means that when I populate a line here and a quantity that I expect my revenue to be $1,200 every time I use this service profile or task card onto a job. The cost budget is going to be the deduction that you see here. So the cost budget is where you're going to define items like material, labor, even outside processing. So you can define these that are within this service profile. And for this one, we have a couple material and we have 3 hours of labor. The cool thing about this is within the labor, you can also define the work scope. Now the work scope is going to be tied to the labor in this counter up here. If I didn't have any work step instructions specific for my hours, this would have a counter of 3. But as you can see, I went ahead and populated. Visual inspection will take half an hour, repair an hour and a half, and then assemble or final and test for another hour. So I can kind of define each one of those hours into exact work steps that we expect our mechanics or technicians to follow to kind of keep this into a good cost budget that will also act with our revenue budget. The RI that you see here is it just simply means inspection is required. So if this happened to be populated, it just means that once I have been done with my repair, that it will allow me to go ahead and do an inspection before I get to the next phase of my hours. Now, work instructions. This is a free text form, just like the quote language. It just gives you an extra area where you can go ahead and put work instructions. As you can see here, you can put specific customer request information of what they would like to do if this was a customer specific profile. It gives you a lot of opportunity to go ahead and give you more details on what you would like to see done at this stage. Quote language is also free text. It will transfer over to the work order quote and the work order, as well as each one of these tabs. So the service profiles or task cards can really be thought of as a template for repeatable work, such as a routine inspection or a standard repair and overhaul if that happens to be your business. So these really become the foundation which allow you to define these different items that I just went through. Now I'm going to quickly just go through service packages because we've made this even easier so that you can quickly go from a quote to a work order in just a quick and easy step. So navigating back over to the Pro MRO module, I'm going to select the packages. And now the packages is exactly that. I created a package for my engine, or that customer equipment engine that I mentioned earlier is this one. So I created a package under this and I added all of these task cards. Now you can have as many as you want or as little as you would like. And each one of these are the task cards that we saw earlier, and you can pull all of those in, you can add, and you have the option to actually remove if you no longer see that fit. And each one of these carry over your revenue budget and your cost so that every time you use this package on, well, today's demonstration will be, or our webinar is going to be based on a standard repair or a fixed price repair on an aircraft. And this is going to help us define our overall revenue budget, and it does keep track of my cost budget. So I can kind of see where my margin is on how profitable I will be. The next building block will be our tool registers. So I will kind of lay this out. If you can go ahead and visualize that your company has maybe a tool crib or a specific person that manages your tools that are specific to the aircraft or specific to the engine, or just overall that you would like all of your tools to be considered an asset into your company, and you want to track that usage as well as calibration or shelf life. So tooling, I'm going to show you how the tool register works, and then we're going to move into the tool check in and out, which I will show you later on how all of these really awesome items tie in to a work order quote and a work order. So navigating over to tool register. From this screen, this is where you would go ahead and make that tool as your asset number. You can, sorry about that. So again, here is your search button. So you can go ahead and see all of the tools that you have already in your system. And you can also define if you want to find the ones that are outside of calibration or quarantined, or even items that are no longer serviceable or scrapped. You can do a little search based on these two items. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and click our first one here where we created our tool as an asset. We have the tool part number, we have the description of our tool, and then here on the details, we have specific details based on this. You can make a serial number, you can even give it an alternate part number. Model type and usage is just another level to categorize that and to report on. Your technical information, you can add in specific information like length and width. Manufacturer information is exactly what it is. You can go ahead and put in a supplier where you purchase it from, and you can even keep track of the dates. And if this happened to have a shelf life date, you can populate it here. Comments, in case there were specific comments related to this. As an example, this tool can only be used on an Airbus or a Boeing or even a specific component. You can make those comments here. Now, calibration. Calibration is going to be your most important piece of information within your tool register. So I would really use this for items that require calibration, whether it's on a monthly basis or even a year. This can keep track of that. So once the calibration checkbox here is populated, this will require a calibration, and you can run a report on that to go ahead and see, okay, when is the calibration due? When was the last time it was done, servicing or anything like that? And you can give it a specific certificate number once that calibration has been completed. And to store your certificate that it's been calibrated as just an added level of quality, you can populate it into our files here by either dragging or dropping or uploading it. So I find that the tool register comes in quite handy when you have those tools that are either very specific for a unit or an aircraft, or you really just want to keep track of it as an asset for the company. So now tool registration and tool check in and let me say this really quick now that it popped up. I have an image here. So if you do have a tool crib or someone who manages this for you, they can always look at this and go, okay, that actually looks exactly like this tool. So they can match it up if you would like an image. Acumatica does support images and certain types of pictures. Now for tool check in and out. So keep in mind, we're still operating on the visual that we have a tool crib or someone that is in charge of checking tools in and out for their job. So within here, you can see that each one of these fields are designed to handle barcoding. So if your company likes to use barcoding where your employees scan their badge, or even your work order package has barcodes for your operation steps, which today we're going to call them task or service profile steps. You can use this section or as a barcode, or you can go ahead and type that in. So you would just type in your employee number, the task number, which is off of your work order that we're going to get to here in a few minutes. And then you would go ahead and type in that equipment, which is that asset number. So as you can see here, I already have some items that are checked out. So we have some items that are checked out. It shows you your project or your work order number and the exact task that they are performing that on. Once they're done, they would simply just do the exact same thing. I would scan their badge or type it in, same thing, and I would also check the unit in. Now, one quick note before I move on from here is if there happens to be a tool already checked out or has exceeded their calibration date, which means that the calibration is expired, it will not allow you to check out that tool. So just a quick example, if I am employee 70 and I have this task and I type it in there or I scanned it and I want to use this tool, a pop-up box and you can make this as a hard stop or a soft stop that says it's already checked out by someone. This acts the exact same way for calibration. It will state that calibration is overdue and you're no longer allowed to use this at this point. So I really like these hard stops or these soft stops, if you would want, as these quick notifications kind of allows you to keep track of where your items are, especially if you manage those as an asset. So before I move on to work order quotes and work orders to show you how all of these really nice features tie in together, we do have a quick poll that Bob is going to go ahead and bring up. I'm going to give it a few seconds before I move on.
Which one are we doing, Christy? I'm sorry.
Number 3, sir. Number 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on, and hopefully everyone is participating in our polls.
Chris, here's a chance I hit number 5 instead of number 3.
You know what? That is not a problem.
Well, I'm wondering, let's just get number 3 out here real quickly too. Why not?
Okay.
While we're taking a break and you're drinking water.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Christy. I think we're pretty much caught up here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone participating in those polls. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on, and I'm going to take a little bit of time just to try and explain that if your company does want to track work or perform work orders with quoting first, I will go through this first. I'm going to go ahead and show you how the quoting works, and then I'm going to show you how there are 2 ways to go ahead and do your quoting, which may or may not fit your business, and then I'll get into work orders directly in case you are on that type of business where you do aircraft maintenance at a high level, or even an engine or landing gear shop where you would operate off of contracts first. So the quoting may or may not mean anything to you at this point, but I do want to be able to cover and hopefully reach out to as many people that we have on our webinar today. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a work order quote, and I will take my time, but also go just a little bit quick so I'm not holding up the entire webinar just on my voice today. So from here, you can see that we have work order quotes already created. We have some statuses. It's going to show you that they're completed, and that can mean one of 2 things. It's either moved on to an actual work order and we started performing work, or it was canceled, or at any status of that. The drafts just mean that it hasn't been sent over to process, and maybe we may be waiting for our customer to get back with us. So just to quickly go ahead and create one, it will not take much time at all, so you can really see how quick and easy it is to go ahead and do this. So we have our header screen again, and we have our details. So hopefully this starts to seem extremely familiar by now. The quoting number, so I would go ahead and put in our dates, our expiration date, which just simply means when your customer wants to have this back, or their unit overall back if you're doing that. The business account is your customer. And for here, I'll go ahead and just populate this really fast. The description, now keep in mind the description is mandatory, and the description field here does mean that it is this the description of your work order. So if you would like to just populate something quick, we can do it that way, or you can put in a little bit more details within this box here. The customer equipment. That customer equipment where we set up earlier, you can use what is already created and it will auto-populate that manufacturing model if we populated that under the customer equipment. So by utilizing that, that is going to keep a one-to-one connection. So our work order history ties into our customer equipment record. Now on the details section below, we have our shop estimate. So if your business is designed where your shop or your supervisors or managers are the ones that kind of want to look at all the paperwork off your customer repair order and say, all right, I want to do the shop estimate, and then they send it back to customer service to do that. That is perfectly fine. This is where you would do that. You would go ahead and just say, create your shop estimate. You would give it to that division or your cost center of where this is going to take place. We'll use aircraft today, and that's just another level of where we're going to put it. And from here, you can do the description, but it will auto-populate what you put the description as a whole, or you can update it however you like. So once I hit save, this is going to create shop estimate number that I can go ahead and click directly. And from the shop estimate, this is where those service profiles and packages come into play. And your supervisor or whoever you have designated to make these estimates onto the work order, this is where they would go ahead and do that. So to make it really quick and easy, they don't have to think about it. They already have some information here. They know that it's a test. They know that, or repair. So if we put in standard repair, they would know this is a standard repair. It's this equipment. So they can hit add task cards, which we saw earlier. We have all kinds of options on what kind of task cards to populate. By clicking these buttons, you would say add service profile. But for this quick and easy ones, because I really like the packages, they are so handy. I'm going to hit the package, and within that package, we went ahead and said, I want all of these task cards to be within my package. So once I click this, I'm going to hit add and close, and it's populating all of those operational steps and all those task cards or service profiles into one thing. It carries over our revenue budget, carries over our cost, and it even carries over all the material and labor that we set up for each and every one of those task cards as an entire package. So once I am done with this as the estimator, I remove the hold, I hit release, and now you can see that it's here and my status goes to close. So then your customer service can go ahead and work this as normal. They can send out the quote, they can receive it back, and they can all work each one of those things directly from this screen. Once they get their quote back and approved, they can say convert to project, which also means convert to work order.
Hey, Christy, real
Yes,
quickly, I forgot to mention or emphasize up front that Acumatica, and actually all ERP solutions we have built in have a CRM in there that are not even integrated, they're built in. So that's all going to work through there. You're going to have a full record and accountability of that too. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, perfect point that I should have done that. So yes, absolutely. So that gives you these options right here. So that takes us over to the one quick one that I'm going to go through. So now you have an idea of how the quote works and how quick and easy it is to copy, to print, to add in shop estimates, use those service profiles and packages into one quick and easy step. If your company wants to skip over all of that and your customer service reps or whatever their title may be, and you don't need a shop estimate from the shop, you kind of just know that this is my business all the time. So this is how we do it. So I'm going to stick with, what I mentioned earlier, we have some fixed prices and standard repairs. For that, you would use our quick and easy button called the quick create. And within the quick create, it takes you to the same screen that you saw earlier with just a little bit more information and a little bit different design. I can go directly here. So you can see that this section doesn't look like it did before. This was that shop estimate section. So I can skip that. I can add in my packages. I can create it and I can immediately turn it into a project. It just happens to be that quick. This is why we called it quick create. So you're kind of skipping a little step there that may take sometimes hours or even days. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to our work orders. So I've already created a couple of work orders and projects for our today's webinar. So I'm going to go over a couple of them because I have some different information that I kind of want to show you. So the first one that I'm going to select is going to be how I can do the equipment search on one of my work orders that are already populated. So we have an equipment here and we have a manufacturer, but you can see we don't have a model or anything listed here. Even when this is a work order, I can modify this to fill in different information. I can change the start date, I can change the end date. If you have those permissions, you are allowed to do that at any given time. I do quickly want to show you the one that I will work on for most of today, and it's going to be this one. And I choose this one because I have more information go ahead and tied into here. So for that customer equipment discussed earlier, I populated it here. These items automatically populate. So for this one, you can see that we have information here on our header and in the details. When I click on tasks, these are those task profiles or service profiles, which also act as your operation steps. This is what it looks like onto a work order, and this is how they're pulled in. So it has its own tab and its own area. So you can see that I have 3 tasks or 3 operations that need to be performed onto this work order. It has a functional test, it has a standard repair, and it has a final inspection. Within this, you can click on the task ID and it's going to give you those that information that we populated on those task cards. You can also add additional tasks. You can add more, you can add another package if you see fit, and you can even make corrective action directly from here. But we have an even better way of doing corrective action, so I'm not going to touch this one for you quite yet. If any items along the way have any kind of activity tied to it and they've made a corrective action, you can see that they're going to go ahead and populate that, and you can see that it failed the functional test, which is to be expected, right? We have a standard repair here, so we know it probably isn't going to pass test. The next tab I'll quickly go over will be the revenue and the cost budget. As we saw on our packages and our task cards or service profiles, that revenue budget populated within here. You can see the quantities, you can see the cost, and you can see anything that we've already done or that we're going to do. Same with the cost budget. This shows us how many hours that we have and the inventory levels. But we already did that poll. Let's skip that. So on our revenue and our cost budget, this interacts with our balance tab, which is a quick profit and loss thing. So you can always monitor this in any way that you see fit along the way of the progress of this. So I wanted to say WIP in progress, but it's already in there. So here you can see that we have everything was pointed out as the budget that we mentioned. You have all of your actuals. So once labor or material has been sent or completed and issued to this job, and once your labor has been released and put into a different status, it will show you all your actuals. So you can keep track if you're following along your budget lines that you expected, and you can see that these give you all the actuals. So this comes in quite handy for most people, most clients. So quickly, I want to show you also our item requirements. So the item requirements are those materials that we discussed. Just from this one screen, so say we're a small shop and some people wear a lot of hats. You can create and release your own inventory as long as you have the inventory here. If you happen to not have the inventory, you can create a purchase order or even a purchase rec. So for this particular line, you can see that our project warehouse is at the header level, which means that my project that I'm working on or my work order is into this area. And this just simply means it's going to show you quantities that are available in my project warehouse, or if I had multiple warehouses, to say I had customer furnished material and we kept that in a different warehouse, it would also populate that is stored in a different warehouse. So as you can see here, they kind of match up, so it gives you the identical information. If you had multiple warehouses, all you have to do is hit select. Oh, I can just highlight it and then hit view item availability, and it's going to show you those multiple warehouses and how much inventory you have. So it comes in quite handy, and you can make quick decisions based on the information that is given here. So for our webinar today, I went ahead and issued inventory, which gave you the balances about how things go into WIP. So I want to make this quick and easy for you. Now, before I get to one other important things that I want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our shop floor app, which is what we also call the kiosk. And I want to show you quickly how fast that data transfers over into my work order directly from your shop floor app. Now, the shop floor app is where your technicians or your mechanics can log in and track their time or ask for extra inventory and make corrective actions. So again, these are designed for a barcode scanning, or you can simply type in your employee numbers. So I am going to be Mr. 70 today. And this app, this shop floor app and this kiosk can be used on any tablet or your phone, anything that has an internet connection. It works the same as Acumatica. All right, so the first screen that you see here is you can see who I am, and I'm green, which means that I can work today. If it was red, you would probably want to investigate. Maybe I'm still on vacation and I need to put my time in that I'm allowed to work today. So you have a couple of different options you can do. We can do the scan the card, which means that off of our projects, you may want to go ahead and, sorry, let me go ahead and copy that. It means that you can print off your task cards, or your work package is the better way of putting it. So you have your whole work package and it has barcodes on it for each individual task ID. You can scan that in here, or you can simply type it if you wish. Or you have the option of doing a search task. Now, using the search task means different things. This one is a 1-for-1, which means I'm logging in to this particular task by scanning it here. If I select the tail number, which also translates over to the equipment. So if I were to just use the equipment number and type that here, this is going to allow me to see all of the work orders that are ready and have an active status that I could log into. So it gives your mechanics or technicians the opportunity to log into multiple units at the same time, or multiple work orders, so that I can work on, you know, many things at once and not just be tied to one individual item. So you can do it this way, and that gives me all my active ones. And by clicking on it, that's going to go ahead and log me into what active tasks is available. I'm going to go ahead and do it my original way and just go for a 1-for-1. So once this populates and I click on this section here, this automatically starts tracking my time in real time. So down to the seconds and the minutes, well, usually the minutes. So down to the minutes, I'm already tracking my time on how much I spent onto my work order. And I'm going to quickly show you that here in just a second, how that added up. So from here, your squawk or your reason for removal from your customer's work order would be, or repair order would be populated here. This is where I could go ahead and give it a corrective action. So I know, quickly show you what this is. This is my standard repair. So I could go ahead and click in here and write in whatever I want, performed repair, just a simple, all my findings. So my findings I would populate here. You have the option to go ahead and do parts request. So within here, or within this section, you can see all the material that's needed for this particular task, and though this is the material I need at this task level, and you can see that we're not processed. So you can go ahead and request that those part numbers are received to you, or if they've already been pulled and committed to the job, it would already say processed, so that you know you have those piece parts sitting there so you can go ahead and start your work. If along the way you found out, oh, I need actually 7, not 6, you can type in that part number, and then you can make another request, hit search. You can add this, or you can add to remove the part request. So we're going to just go ahead and add, and it gives you your availability levels as well. Just comes in quite handy. So you can go ahead and say how many more that you need. You can give it your priority level. Go ahead and just click next day, but I'll choose today. And say set quantity. And then that's going to go ahead and add another item on here, because these were generated from your service profile. And now I'm going to quickly go over and show you on to our project how fast that information transferred. So I'm going to quickly do a refresh onto my project or work order itself. You saw earlier that we only had the 2 items here, but now once I go to item requirements, you can see that from the kiosk in real time, it transferred that I needed 1 extra one, and it did type it for inventory. So now an inventory person, or even you or your shop supervisor, could go ahead and ask for that extra unit. So it happens just that fast. All of this information transfers in real time. So I'm kind of losing my voice a minute. So now back over to the kiosk. From here, you can go ahead and say, I want to go ahead and stop work for the day. So once you do that, I'm going to hit stop work. This is going to log me out of this job. And now going back over to my job and my project, I'm going to hit refresh. And now under activities. Activities is a great tab. This does allow you to manage and see what your mechanics or technicians are doing and how long they were actually into a specific task, or even how long it takes overall, what time they have actually spent. So as you can see, I logged in today, which is the 17th. It's the first one that populates. It is billable. You can make it non-billable in case I was just testing for some reason. Gives me my 3 minutes that were logged in, so you can manage your jobs down to the minute. So it comes in quite handy. And any activity that takes place on this work order will be populated here, so you can manage that time. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is the tooling. So we talked about tooling, checking in and out. So we have a tab called tooling. Now within this tooling, you can see that I checked out a tool. I haven't checked it back into our tool crib, which means that this tool is still checked out for this job. I could do a manual check-in if I wanted, and then that's going to populate a reason for check-in. This step here, you can create a rule or a pop-up window, as you saw earlier, that just states you cannot move past a task or close the work order and start running your project billing without having this tool checked in. So this ensures that your quality of your job and making certain across the board and systematically that you're not leaving parts or tools on an aircraft for just safety and quality compliance. So I really like this option. It allows you to do that, and you can keep track of all the tooling that was used for this job. So hopefully I have explained how we go from utilizing our customer equipment how it transfers over to our work order and our work order quotes, how important the tool register is for calibrations and checkout in and out for a particular job, and how easy it was to use our shop floor app in using for real-time information under activities in all our revenue and cost budget from our service profiles and packages, and how quick and easy it is to go from work order quote to work order, and how you can manage all of those transactions into one and easy screen. So Bob, I believe this is the end of my session.
Not yet. You
Oh.
have questions to answer,
I
young
have
lady.
questions. Yes, sir. I have
Mr.
questions.
Derek asked, can we have multiple text logged into a project?
Task.
Oh, into a task.
Task,
Yes, into a
excuse me,
project
into a
or a
task.
work order. Yes, you can. If you have them doing multiple certain things, you can have them logged into the same task ID, and they can track their time in real time. And you can, under that activities tab here, you would be able to see that you have multiple employees checked in.
Excellent. And then rumor on the street was there's facial recognition that could also be used in lieu of scanning a badge or anything like that when the techs are checking into a project on the shop floor app.
That is correct. This section that I have here, I don't have facial recognition because I don't have the equipment to see my face. Not that anybody wants to do that anyways, but yes, it is capable of doing AI.
Fantastic. We found a lot of folks, there's ability to keep the techs honest on clocking in and not clocking in for other people with that tool, but also keeping it very accurate. Let's see, I've got one. How would you go about opening a repair order purchase order? This is
A repair order. A repair order purchase order within a project?
Oh, that's all I have for the question.
Okay, I'm sorry, then say it again.
How would you go about opening a repair order / purchase order?
Not sure I'm clear on that either.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on what direction you're actually taking. Are we doing purchase orders and repair orders within your work order?
Within the work order has been
Okay.
clarified.
Yes, then my answer is yes, you can. You do have the option to create even service orders. If there was a part of doing a service order, the repair order, as far as the terminology repair, we could make any of these say that. So the service order, or you can create a, go ahead, Nancy.
I think what she's saying is if you're within a repair order, can you open a purchase order, create a purchase order? Is that right, Angie? Can you? I think that's what she's asking. Not field service.
Well, I can open up purchase orders. Yes, for inventory, I can create purchase orders. Then I can release the inventory or release the purchase order, and it can transfer over that way. Yes.
Right. And purchase orders can be directly tied to that particular work order, so that the hope is too that, you know, nobody's going to use it for something else.
That's correct. It can be a one-for-one connection.
Right. So you could look up the status of those purchase orders from the work order.
Yes.
So then Angie followed up. So how would I remove a part from the engine within a work order to send out to have overhauled?
Okay, so that is a very good question. So you can do that within here as well. We do have a tab called unserviceable parts. So in my experience, being in aviation for as long as I have, I would have a unit that needs to go out for overhaul. I would use the unserviceable part. I would create my line. I would use that. I could populate my serial number, and then you have options to go ahead and send it to the customer for overhaul or send it out for overhaul repair. We can change any one of these words to fit your business. So don't get hung up on the words here. It could say send for repair or just inspection. And then this would create a line so that I can keep track of that on as a level that is tied to my work order and to as an overhaul or anything like that.
So if it goes out for repair to a third party, it creates a purchase order to that vendor.
It creates a service order.
Right. And so
Yes.
you keep track of it. And you
Yes,
can
so
keep track of the cost as well, Angie.
yes, and the cost would only affect this work order, not your overall GL. That is correct.
And
Okay,
then-
we got questions coming in, so but we're short on time. I want to make sure we get to them all. Can you create 8130s for parts inspected from a work order to go to stock?
Yes, sir, you can.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have, how would you have, or how would someone pulling an order be notified of what part to pull next? What is the interface on the tablet? So I'm assuming that's when you're requesting parts requisition, it goes to the cage. How do they get notified to pull it?
Yes, so our system or Acumatica does have some automations where you can. So within your task level, so I'm just gonna, hopefully I answer this correctly. I'm gonna go to the item requirements. So if I needed only this part at operation 10 and this one at operation 20, once someone logs in or it gives you a date, so this date needed, you can create a business event or a notification either on someone's dashboard or on someone's email. We can peg either one of those to say, at this time, this is what it's needed, and that can give that notification when they need to go ahead and pick and pack those parts
Great,
or
that's
deliver
gonna
to
help.
the shop.
He said he's using paperwork right now. They're used to paperwork. So that's another way of going paperless and keeping your company
Yes.
more green. Perfect.
One way to go paperless. However, if you continue to use that, you could print pick list. You can do that as well.
There you go. I'm going to launch the one more poll question, if everybody doesn't mind jumping on. While Nancy, did you have something to add? I feel like I interrupted you a couple
No,
times.
no, you don't, no. We had a few more other questions, but I think they can wait. We can address those separately.
Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap it up on behalf of Nancy and Christy. Christy, terrific job as always. Everybody, the audience was great, or the participants, thank you for being so responsive. We, as you can see on this version of Pro MRO on Acumatica, it's very configurable, it's scalable. You can start small, grow big. This it's not a rigid solution, so it can be built to the way that you do your work processes. We're very excited about this solution. It is not a standalone. I did get a couple questions I answered earlier while Christy was speaking. If you are on SAP, it is a replacement for SAP. We do not integrate with that or QuickBooks or any other solution. But if you're interested, please reach out. Please keep tuning in to our webinars. We like to, I think, Nancy, we're going to try to get more back on the calendar. We've been a little slow earlier this year, but we enjoy doing them. We enjoy the interaction. We appreciate everybody's time. And if you'd like to reach out, you've got all of our contact information. But for now, I thank you all for attending, and we'll catch you on the next one.